Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today I want to talk about what's going on in the state of California in terms of retail theft. Recently, I did a tale about how Karen Bass has instituted this anti-retail theft task force, and that led a lot of people to believe that at least Los Angeles was moving in a positive direction. However, they've decided to kind of go the opposite way almost immediately at the statewide level. So earlier this month, there was a viral video out of a 7-Eleven in the state of California where a man got behind the counter and was loading up a giant garbage pail with cigarettes. Now, I can only imagine that he was stealing these cigarettes in order to feed his starving kids nicotine addiction, but if you'll remember this video, it ultimately ended up with the two people behind the counter, the employees of the store, beating this criminal with sticks, and everybody on the internet.com cheering because America is sick of crime. However, America is not really represented pretty well in the state of California because a state assembly person, in the state senate to be specific, has recently decided that he's going to put forward a bill to essentially make it impossible for incidents like this to happen. Yes, that's right. In the name of work safety, Senate Bill 553 is going to protect the criminals from any consequences from the employees for their ongoing retail theft sprees. We're going to get into this. We're going to break it down. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you to everybody who signed up. actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
There you can get early access to the videos on the secret video page. And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
Meanwhile, retail theft and smash and grab robberies are a big problem across the nation and right here in this area.
And that's why California lawmakers are working on a bill that would ban employers from forcing workers to confront shoplifters or criminals who may be armed.
So let's break down what was just told to us by this local news person, because it doesn't make any sense at all when you think about the problems in the state of California. Essentially, in that state, because they don't prosecute shoplifters, because you can't send repeat offenders of these supposedly non-violent, not serious crimes to the state penitentiary, and they have to be sent to county jail, and the county jails are overcrowded, so they end up being released over and over and over again. You have ever-escalating incidents of retail theft going on across the state. Now, eventually, when employees fear that they're going to lose their job or fear that other things might go down as a result of these thefts, intervene. Violence is caused by the perpetrator, and in order to protect the workers, they're going to make it nearly impossible for them to intervene rather than address the fact that these perpetrators, who are escalating as their behavior is going unpunished, keep committing the violence.
The bill, introduced by State Senator Dave Cortese, aims to prevent workplace violence by banning employers from forcing their staff to confront active shoplifters.
Where the bills are saying that this is in protection of the employees, but it only protects the shoplifters. We believe this bill is going to increase the shoplifting.
So this guy right here is among a bunch of business owners, small business owners, we're talking about gas stations and whatnot, that have come to protest this specific bill. They actually booed the state senator that ended up proposing it, and one of them got in his face, which I will show you in a video a little bit later. But the heart of what they're saying is 100% true, because not only does the Senate bill essentially make it impossible for store owners to require their employees to intervene in any of these thefts, if they do intervene and any incident becomes violent, it actually drowns them in paperwork. It requires all this different documentation if somebody comes into a store and assaults you, that essentially is going to incentivize business owners to not have their employees anywhere near these perpetrators just because of the paperwork alone. Again, some of these businesses are family owned. They only have something like 5 employees. Do you think they have the time when they're being robbed each and every day to fill out all these different paperwork incidents based on the violence? This is clearly and obviously a bill that maybe is genuinely intended to protect workers, that will have the result of depressing the reported retail thefts, specifically in small businesses.
Every day or every other day, people are coming openly, taking the stuff and walking out. Police come either 10 hours later or next day, or they say file an online report. we are in bad situation.
You hear that? This guy says every day, every single day, he ends up having to deal with these retail thieves. He goes to make a report. It takes over 10 hours for anyone to show up, and eventually he's told to file his report on the internet.com, and nothing gets done.
We've seen it across the state and locally. Last year, a smash and grab theft at a jewelry store in the Roseville Galleria. And in Stockton, a man caught on camera just weeks ago trying to steal tobacco from a 7-Eleven. The workers seen fighting back.
Now, as you can see, they showed one of these infamous smash and grabs, and then they referenced that 7-Eleven video that I was talking about earlier, and it appears to me that that is the inspiration for them getting rid of the ability of store owners to have their employees fight back against the criminal.
Stop this nonsense. Pass a bill to protect the small businesses, not the criminal.
Again, if you actually cared about retail theft, organized or otherwise, there's clearly an easy way for you to deal with these problems, and that is to arrest and hold the repeat offenders who continuously commit these crimes. You could also propose a bill that amends that state assembly bill that makes it impossible to put these people in prison, and do so in such a way that you target the most prolific retail theft offenders. It is not that big of a deal. It is not that challenging. It is not something that should be even difficult for a legislator to do, considering the circumstances in California. However, proposing this pro-criminal law as a workplace safety measure seems to be the more likely option in order to get something passed, and this is why California will continue to decay, because even though they have these woke local district attorneys, they have the court decision requiring them to reduce prison population, and all these other factors, the fact of the matter is, just like in New York State, California's state government seems committed to locking in these laws statewide, so even reforms on the local level can't undo the damage or can't really change anything because state law is so far against the average citizen. There's nothing that a local municipality or a solid district attorney could do in response.
The bill is receiving support from the United Food and Commercial Workers Labor Union, which represents retail workers among other industries. President Mark Ramos called the bill, quote, a life-saving measure, saying it prevents untrained rank-and-file employees from having to confront a potentially dangerous shoplifter.
Now look, I'm not surprised that organized labor is behind this. I'm sure there is some benefits in terms of safety for some retail workers in this regard, but I do want to point out that if you're a small business at a gas station or something like this, and you can't afford a security guard, this is essentially going to require you to hire somebody who's trained specifically to deal with this at the cost that is going to be paid by these small business owners, when all California would have to do is, prosecute the criminals in order to have some consequences for them. I mean, let's be perfectly honest about this. The real danger to the employees, the unique danger that retail employees are facing, that increased danger, is not due to the fact that employers are telling their employees to engage in fights with people stealing from their stores. In fact, we've actually seen quite the opposite. We see employees being fired for even taking photos of the license plates of the criminals, because that could lead to an arrest, but that arrest could be negative PR for that storefront, because everything apparently is evil white racism, including preventing people from stealing from your store. The actual increased danger comes from the criminal. It comes from the increase in retail theft. It comes from the fact that these people are so emboldened, they've done it so many times, that when they face almost any resistance, they end up lashing out in a violent and aggressive way. If you want to actually curb violence against retail employees, the way you do it is by locking up the criminals, reducing the amount of encounters, so that way you can reduce the potential for things going wrong. And just because you work in loss prevention, just because you're in this trained category of employee, does not mean that this law will protect you or your training will somehow protect you, because what we see time and time again, even in the state of California, is that those loss prevention officers ultimately end up getting injured, ultimately end up being killed, just like Blake Mose was, when a criminal, a repeat offender, somebody who, by the way, was being soft charged for this murder and still is to this very day, decided that she was going to seek revenge on him for preventing her from stealing a power drill charger and shot him in the chest. So what you want to do if you actually want to reduce these crimes, if you actually want to reduce the danger for the retail employees, is go after the retail thieves. Instead, what they're doing is making laws and regulation that will actually increase the number of retail thefts. So even if store employees aren't obligated to intervene, just expanding the number of thefts by the rates that are going to be expanded will ultimately lead to more injuries, and thus the union is just wrong in this regard. Not to mention, it's insanely damaging to small business owners, as these people told him directly to his face.
A respectful welcome to Senator Dave Cortese.
Senator Dave Cortese, who is behind the bill intended to prevent workplace violence, did not receive a warm welcome from this group protesting on the Capitol steps.
This bill, in essence, should be called Retail Business Killer Bill SV 553.
Look, I love this for a number of reasons. First and foremost, it's good to get in the face of a dumb state senator, an idiotic progressive, proposing a bill, expecting a round of applause, booing and hissing at him, and then yelling at him and telling him how stupid he actually is. Number two, the optics of this are just A+. Here you have a lot of South Asian business owners, heavy on the accent, a lot of them presumably immigrants, coming out in force, talking about the crime that they're experiencing. Now, I know Stop Asian Hate was more about East Asians, but the thing is, these are also Asians, they're also business owners, they're being negatively impacted by this, and they're all unanimously, the ones here anyway, rallying against this bill being pushed by this white elite progressive in order to fight evil white racism or protect the employees and stop the corporations or whatever stupid motivation that this guy has for pushing the policies that he's actually pushing. It's a great optical win just to have these people all coming down on him, especially when they're also right on the substance of the issue, because that's what genuinely matters. But the fact of the matter is, if you splatter this on the front page of progressives out there and all that, they'll see a bunch of minorities saying that they don't want something and an evil white man refusing them and doing that anyway, and I think that's a powerful image. The fact of the matter is, I'm not interested in identity politics, but these are the cards that were dealt in our modern society, and we should at least force the left to live up to the standards that they try to put on us, and make them own up to the fact that they created a system or an ideology where they said that white people shouldn't be able to judge the minorities, and the minorities are out here telling this white person that they don't like what he's putting down.
Cortese says the bill would establish a new baseline of workplace violence prevention standards, such as documenting every crime and how it was handled by employees.
You're not the problem, you're the victims of a big spike in property crime and theft crime and criminal activity in your areas.
Cortese says the bill recognizes the need for shoplifter training and that some stores may need security, but the business owners say that should not fall on them.
We would have appreciated if you had consulted the retailers when you prepared this bill. This bill misses the representation of the retailers, and retailers, the small business owners, are the backbone of United States of America's economy.
So yeah, while I might have said there was some hope based on Karen Bass's actions in the city of Los Angeles, the fact of the matter is California is dedicated and motivated to making sure that there is no possible hope for their state, and this is just another nail in the coffin that is the state of California, and if they don't reverse this in some kind of way, it's just going to get worse for years to come. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the video, show me by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about California once again, protecting the criminal. Till next time.